Thank you for listening to this podcast from TRE, Talk Radio Europe, your voice in Spain and around the world. For more information, please visit tre.radio.
TRE in the afternoon. Presented by Hannah Murray.
Good afternoon. You are listening to Women Talk. It's just gone 5:05. With me in the studio today is Sue Hall, Natalie Guyon and Sarah Jones. Hello.
Hi.
Nice to see you all. And you're all sitting in the order that I've written your names down in, which is great. I love it when that happens. It hardly ever happens, but when it does, it's brilliant.
In sync.
So I've got some articles here that I found in the UK press, and we're just going to talk about them. If you're listening at home and you'd like to get involved, you can. Here's how.
To contact TRE, please call 952 78 4000. Email studio@tre.radio. Send us a WhatsApp on +34 645 99 67 95.
What a beautiful day, it's a wonderful life.
Right, there's an article here which made me chuckle. The headline says, "Does my bum look big in these new M&S pants?" Yes, because it's supposed to. The store is launching knickers with built-in padding to give backsides a bit of oomph. They'll be available from May in 35 stores and online at £15 a pair. They're designed with two removable convex pads that sit atop the wearer's buttocks to create a curvy silhouette. And they're basically saying we're doing for bums what we've done for boobs for years. So what do we think? Would we wear a pair of pants with like bum implants in them?
Is that the royal way? Because I don't need any help in that. My bum looks big enough as it is.
It's funny, isn't it? I mean, like when I was growing up, people didn't want a big bottom, no. and now people pay to have it injected to have a big bottom. I mean, it's a real weird kind of fashion change, isn't it?
I think it's interesting because it's a good way. Obviously, everyone has their own insecurities, so I feel like giving that option to people who maybe don't want to go down a surgical route and just make them feel more confident when they're wearing things. I don't think there's anything wrong in that, really.
No.
But then again, I don't know. Like, what would you say? Because I'm going to say that you'd be more get in the gym. And
yeah, I'm more inclined to say, do we need to be making any more money out of people's insecurities? Yeah. Or really empowering all the different body shapes and sizes that we are, and giving people more tools to actually feel confident in their own skin without being presented with a pair of pants that's going to make their backside bigger, and then feeling that to wear them they need to have more confidence, or to wear the dress they want they've got to wear the pants. And I think that companies time and time again seem to want to make more and more money out of our insecurities as women. If it's not a padded bra, it's going to be padded pants, and I've no doubt M&S out here are going to charge even more than in the UK, whilst they stick the euro price on as well, so we'll probably be looking at double money for it.
Makes you wonder what could possibly be next. I mean, what else could they do to really fuel our insecurities, you know? I mean, it's quite frightening for the young generation growing up now, because they're influenced by it all
massively,
the time.
Massively. I've got a 13-year-old, and, you know, the impact that social media and these things have on the younger demographic, we know how we feel. It's a massive impact, and I'd say those pants are probably good for sitting on a bike so that you don't get saddle sore. You know, that would probably be the best use for them. But, you know, more encouragement would be great, especially from larger stores of, you know, body positivity and empowerment of all different body shapes and sizes would be a fantastic, you know.
That's
fantastic
true.
It's true.
We should have just wear sumo suits and be done with it.
Yeah, it's true though, isn't it? We are all different, and we should embrace that. But people struggle. I mean, always. It's not just when women are young or women are girls or whatever. But as we grow older, you know, a lot of women or people have these issues throughout their whole lives, struggling with weight, wishing they were smaller, wishing they had bigger boobs or whatever. And you know, this is a thing for so many women throughout their lives. And it's such a shame, isn't it, that it can take over your life in such a big way. Yeah. You know, you get to the end of your life, and are you going to be thinking about how big or small you are? Probably not. You know, at the end of your life, it's all about your family and your friends and all those special moments and times you've spent together, not, oh, I wish I lost more weight, or I wish I looked better in a bikini.
I wish I'd worried
40s.
more about how I look.
Yeah, exactly.
No, it's not something you sort of you see on a tombstone, is it? She had a big bum.
No. She had great tits. Exactly. Yeah, we should worry less, but it's kind of easier said than done sometimes, isn't it? I can't imagine wearing wearing something to get a bigger bum, I have to say.
I was curious, because like you go to stores like Rigby and Pella and John Lewis, and they measure you for your bras. As it's a real art, and you've got to be accurate for that. Who's got the job at M&S of measuring your backside for these pads?
Brilliant. Who wants that job?
Yeah.
So on a similar-ish subject, there was a headline with the words, "I wish there were gyms just for overweight women like me." And it was a really interesting article. It's a slightly older woman as well, and she is a size 18. And she said, she wants to lose some weight, she wants to be a bit fitter, but she often feels really kind of self-conscious and uncomfortable going to gyms when they're full of kind of young, fit people. And I've heard that complaint a lot of the times here with certain gyms. Certain gyms have a reputation of having, the posers in front of the mirror and doing the selfies, and some of them are not even working out much at all, just photographing themselves.
A few pop into mind.
And that's a shame that kind of thing puts people off from going to the gym. Natalie, you're definitely the one to...
Oh, absolutely. I think this is one of the number one barriers for reasons or people don't come into the gym, is that perception or feeling of intimidation that they don't belong or they don't fit in. And I think it would be a fantastic idea, actually, for all gyms to kind of push out that everybody is welcome, and having somewhere that somebody who wants to maybe make changes to their health, their mental well-being, just go and feel that they're part of that community, that it's somewhere that they belong, that they can feel confident being there, and that the facilities there are for them. They're designed for them. They're designed for their goals, for them to actually get what they want from it without feeling intimidated or fear or any kind of insecurities about where they're at. Because at the end of the day, if anyone's trying to make any improvement in their life, no matter what it is, giving them the tools to have that and feel their absolute best in making those first steps is going to be great. And interestingly enough, I normally find that the people who fear going into gyms most is not necessarily women, but men as well. Men. Our gym is predominantly 90% women, and I find that men feel that the gym environment is quite intimidating. And I don't know if that's so much because of the women that are there, but because of the gym environment itself.
I suppose there's a perception, that you can get in a lot of gyms, really muscly men that are bench pressing and seeing how much they can lift. And if you're just starting out, I guess as a man you might be really self-conscious, thinking, well, I don't know if I can lift much at all. And if you've got a big belly, you're going to be self-conscious about lying down. There's a lot to be concerned about, which is a shame.
There is. I mean, I can remember myself, my first days going into the gym, I had an absolute panic attack. I froze. I just refused to go in. And even more recently, about 12 months ago, I went to a gym out here. And it's just like you said, it was one of those gyms, and it was a really busy gym full of almost perfect looking individuals, and I went in and I hid in the toilet for half an hour, and I've got some experience of training behind me. So if anybody's wanting to go in the gym and feels perhaps maybe that they don't fit in, or they're maybe lacking some confidence or feeling intimidated by it, we all feel intimidated from time and again. So having somewhere that we go that we feel that we belong, and if people who are overweight, which I once was, and I would absolutely being up for going to a gym that had people that I looked at and was like, well, that's like me, I'm like you, and could relate to people. I think it's a fantastic idea. It's whether it's going to be funded or would be marketed in the right way.
What about, do you feel like if it was more of a gender thing, so women feel intimidated to go out in front of the men, and then vice versa, whether if they were going into a female only gym they would feel more comfortable and more confident and in a safer environment.
I think that's a solid question. I mean, we have a female only class, and that tends to draw women in who only want to be in a female only environment because they don't want to be intimidated by men who are lifting really heavy weights or throwing big barbells around or ripping their tops off and all of that kind of stuff that it goes on in gyms. You know, this is the thing that I think a lot of us can find intimidating. That
I think people generally, men or women, it's the definition of a safe space for either of them.
Yeah.
You know, it's where you feel comfortable, and it's not necessarily about your weight. You know, it can just be, you know, you've given up smoking, or you've done something, but you've got to get back out there, and I've got to do stuff. So where am I going to feel comfortable doing that? You know, and a gym has always been, I think, you know, a terrifying place for a lot of people to go.
Yeah.
You know, they go there to get fit, but they know they're not fit when they go, whatever condition they're in.
You're absolutely right, and it does stem beyond the demographic of people there to the fear of what's going to happen when I am there. Am I going to be able to do what I'm being asked to do? Am I going to feel out of breath? Is that going to make me feel sick? Is it going to be something that makes me feel unwell? And those things can be intimidating. So there's all different levels of confidence. If you can break down that barrier of actually putting that first foot in the gym and realising that, you can.
Beforehand, just get in there and see what happens.
And definitely ask advice as well. Get opinions from people that you know, from other people that go to a gym. Ask them what their gym is like and what the demographic is. I have to say, the gym that I go to, I think is amazing, because there is a real mixture, not only of ages. You know, I'm in the class with people who are, you know, the same age as my parents and things, but also different weights, different shapes and sizes, and I love that. I think it's really, I feel like I'm the youngest person there most of the time. You know, it's generally older people, and it's great, and everyone's really kind of supportive and encouraging of each other and friendly, and you know, no one's
it's how it should be.
Yeah,
you know, it should
definitely.
be, and that's the thing, is that everybody who goes to a gym is there for the same reason, and that's just to make yourself better tomorrow than you are today. Just taking that one step forward, right?
Yeah.
Everybody's looking for the same thing, and so with that in mind, everyone is.
So when are we launching Fit Fat?
Fit Fat. Love it. Fit Fat. Brilliant. We've had a message in from Margaret who says those pants have been available in the Chinese shops here for years.
Yeah, they have been around for a while. Yeah.
Right, we better take a break.
This is Talk Radio Europe.
Hannah Murray on TRE in the afternoon.
You know you've got a good group of ladies when nobody stops talking during the ad break. Everyone's like, loads to say. You're listening to Women Talk. With me in the studio today, we have Sue Hall, Natalie Guyan and Sarah Jones. There's an article here about makeup, and it's talking about some of the best budget buys. That's easy to say. I thought it would be interesting to talk about if there are any particular products, whether it's perfume or a mascara or a body cream or whatever it might be, that you've kind of used for years, you know, a particular buy that you've gone back to time and time again, or if you like to, more like me, kind of experiment with lots of different things all the time.
I'm definitely an experimenter. I like to try new products all the time, but high street products are very good quality. There's some really good products out there. You don't have to be buying luxury products or high-end products, because a lot of the companies use the same manufacturers. You know, most of the good products are made in Italy, or you know. So I think a lot of people can look at a drugstore brand and turn their nose up at it, or think it's not going to be any good, and it's actually, there's some really great quality things out there. NYX Cosmetics has some great things, and one of my favourite blushes is a L'Oreal blush, and it's my ride or die. It's a peach blush, and it is amazing.
Yeah.
You know, you just have to experiment with different things.
Yeah. That's good to know that we don't need to spend lots of money.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I don't think. Well, I don't wear makeup anymore, but I do have favourite perfumes that I always buy. I only have two. One is Calvin Klein Eternity.
Yeah.
The other is Clinique Happy.
Nice.
Yeah, they're my kind of one's for summer, one's for winter.
Lovely.
Which one's for summer? The happy one.
The happy one's for summer. Yeah. But I think like, I'm with you. I think experimenting with the different, even like supermarket brands and everything.
Oh my gosh, Mercadona.
Yeah.
Their mascara is amazing.
Really?
Hands down, one of my favourite mascaras, Mercadona's mascara.
Wow, there you go.
There you go.
I remember for years, they stopped doing it, but I remember for years, both me and my mother used to use the Max Factor waterproof mascara for like 20 years or something, and it was like a go-to, and then they stopped doing it.
Yeah.
And I still haven't really found another one that I love. No, I haven't. It was about 10, 15 years ago they stopped doing it, and I still haven't kind of found a go-to replacement. I get a new one each time, it's not quite right.
There you go. You can try the Mercadona one now.
I will, definitely.
Very
Thank
good.
you. This is a serious subject now. This is the headline. My retirement was so boring, I hit the bottle. This is an ex-boss who was caught drink driving. A retired restaurateur who crashed her car whilst twice over the legal limit claimed that she had to start drinking heavily to cope with no longer working. So this is, I thought this was an interesting one to talk about from the point of view of thinking about retiring, how we feel about retiring, what we're looking forward to about retiring or not, whether you can you see yourself working for more years because you enjoy what you do or need to work or whatever. There's different reasons for that. The idea of not being bored in retirement because you've got things that you really want to do if you've got the money to do it, I guess.
Yeah, what about the Hannah as well? Out here, the lifestyle very much leads itself to people who aren't at retirement age to live this semi-retirement kind of lifestyle. And 12 o'clock comes and the gin and tonic comes out, and there seems to be that kind of, well, what am I going to fill my day with quite a lot out here? It's very common. It doesn't run true for everybody, but it's very popular, isn't it, for afternoon glass of wine, drinking through the afternoon, having the odd G&T, all of those kind of things. And I've lived here for 14 years and I've personally not drank any alcohol for the last 4 years. So sometimes when you take a step back and you see how perhaps you had a lifestyle out here and then you can see things, it is very much like a retirement lifestyle for a lot of people out here. So you can see how the void of things in the day can somewhat be filled with alcohol and how easily that can really happen.
Definitely.
I think running a busy restaurant like she did as well, and then suddenly having nothing, I think you would really notice that. I mean, some people are lucky they can kind of wind down a little bit. You can just reduce your hours, reduce the days or something. And most people are desperate to kind of play more golf or, travel a bit more or do this, that and the other. I don't think she properly planned for what she was going to do because I think it was forced on her. I don't think she was ready to retire. I think she was told, and she's enrolled in some Egyptology course now to try and fill the gaps in her day, And I just think, these are the kind of things you should have been thinking about.
Yeah, definitely.
As you got older.
Absolutely.
Because it's not just going to, that mallet falls and you suddenly got no pay packet coming in. You're just living off your pension and, there's time to fill. So what are you going to do?
Yeah, and there's a real mixture of, if you retire and you've got a, big pot of money in the bank and you can go travelling and do whatever, brilliant. But, there'll be a lot of people that aren't in that situation. So if you do need to bring in more money, then, you need to think about that beforehand, don't you? You can't just suddenly wake up one morning and go, what am I going to do with my life now?
Well, clearly she's got money to spend on drink. She just can't handle it.
Yeah, exactly. Sleep. 60% of Britons are getting just 6 hours of sleep a night, according to a survey, far less than the 7 to 9 hours recommended for adults. I always think sleep is an interesting one. I used to get between I used to get between 8 and 10 hours a night for many years, and I used to think I cannot imagine surviving on less than 8 hours a night. And now I get between 6 and 7 most nights, and I think I'm fine.
I think different people have different... I've watched some YouTube videos, where people say this whole, you're supposed to have 8 hours. It depends on the person, specific to the body. And I know obviously your body needs time to recover, but I know some people that run off 4 hours sleep.
Really?
And they can do that every day. It's wild, but it's what their body's used to.
That is wild.
I think actually falling asleep is the trick as well, because some people struggle to actually get asleep.
That makes a difference.
And that makes a big difference.
I think it's as soon as you go to bed, a lot of people, your mind goes into overdrive.
Yeah.
And it's finding that way to switch off before you go to bed, like put your phone away a good hour before, turn the telly off. I like to read a book and then I fall asleep with a book on top of me. But it's just that wind down as well.
We're incredibly overstimulated, and this is something that comes up massively with the clients that I work with all the time, especially women who are doing everything for everyone or have been up with the kids, and then the sleep habits and routine have changed over the years, and now we have everything on demand, don't we? So it's like you're working longer hours, so you finish work later and you just want to wind down. So your wind down then is going to involve something that's actually stimulating you, because Netflix is like on demand, whereas before we would have had to have watched a TV show at a particular time and then the TV would have gone off. So you can then stay up watching that, and caffeine intake has gone up massively. People are drinking that to try and cope with the busy demands in their working lives and everything that they're doing. Stress is at an all-time high. So people have got all of this stimulation going on in their minds. And you mentioned mobile phones as well, which is huge. And then there's the doom scrolling that occurs, and it's like, how can you switch off when you've got all of that? You've got all this going on in your mind, all this noise, and everything that you're dealing with needs to be processed whilst you're sleeping, a little bit like a filing cabinet. So all of the things that we've done in the day whilst we're sleeping, when we go into REM, needs to actually be stored away. And if you're constantly switched on and you're on high alert because you've got all of these things that are demanding your attention, it's very, very difficult to declutter. So a really good thing, like you just said there, Sarah, like switching your phone off an hour before, reading a book, something that's not going to stimulate with blue light, or even just journaling your day, brain dumping, just dumping stuff down, giving yourself some calm. Massively beneficial.
It's good for your eyesight as well to not be looking at a screen all the time, whether it's TV screen, computer screen, mobile phone, just to change the way your eyes work by looking actually at a book or a newspaper article, or even a corner of the room. You're asking your eyes to work differently, which is much healthier for your eyes to do.
There was a piece which connected to that, which made me laugh. Pupils aged 4 keep trying to swipe books like iPads when you're so used to the whole swiping. Sometimes, I have to say, sometimes by habit, because when you look at, if your phone is dark and you just press your phone to see if there's any message notifications, things like that, I've been known to, if I'm like on my computer and I'm doing something and I've got my phone here, just touching something else, thinking that it's my phone, and it's not, just kind of that automatic touch to see if I've got any notifications, and it's like the remote control, or it's a sandwich or something ridiculous, just that notion.
It's interesting with the iPad and the book thing, because I read quite recently, I can't remember the actual numbers or stats, but it's the so many children now can't read a regular clock with a clock faces. They can only read digital numbers. Because that's how they've grown up. That's what they've seen. They don't have watches like we used to. I used to be a tour guide years ago, and I used to have a kiddie clock at the front of the coach just to whoop me there. What time are we coming back to the bus? And I would hold the clock up.
Brilliant.
So that everybody knew, and it's just, really, they can't tell the time on a regular clock.
But surely there'd be a clock in the house. Don't all people have a clock in the house?
Apparently not. No, because I was thinking along the same lines, but most people have digital clocks.
You know what? Thinking about it, I don't think we have a clock in our house. Having said that, I'm thinking about the clocks in our house growing up. There was a clock in the kitchen. Yes, we always had a clock in our house growing up, but actually thinking about it now, we don't have a clock in our house on the wall.
Me neither. I feel like that's more, I think that's sort of gone out of taken a little bit now.
Yeah, which I think we do.
We do. We're all having a big realisation.
We need to buy a clock.
I've got loads of clocks. Some old school me.
Love it. I love a clock. We need to get. I want to do that. We're going to talk about relationships after the break.
Talk Radio Europe. Hannah Murray, TRE in the afternoon.
Good afternoon. It is 25 to 6. You're listening to Women Talk with Sue Hall, Natalie Guyan and Sarah Jones. So we're on to relationships. There's an article here that I thought was a really fascinating one. So it says, how you feel about your partner depends on how much or how little they do in the home. This is according to a new study. They asked two couples to keep a diary. And one of them said, I don't think it's him I've fallen out of love with. My constant frustration is with how much life admin I have to do. So this is, this is obviously a huge generalisation, and it's looking at these two particular couples. The women are basically doing the cooking and the cleaning and kind of most things. The men are going out to work and coming home, and that's kind of the setup. I have to say, I'm extremely, extremely lucky, and that is definitely not the case in my house. My husband does all of the cooking, and he's really, really good at it and loves it. And yeah, I think we kind of share the general house chores. So I'm sorry to say I'm not sorry, but I mean no.
So you can shut up. You've got nothing to contribute.
Yes. So thoughts on this?
My husband does a lot more now we're separated. But yeah, no, it's a bit harsh, but I think it's one of those things. I don't know whether it's as a woman, I felt it was my place to be cooking all the time, doing all the things with the kids, doing all of the housework, all of the cleaning. But I didn't want the housework to be left or a house or a messy environment. To me, I thrive in a tidy and organised environment, so I would take on that responsibility, because if it was left to anyone else, it wouldn't get done, right? Yeah. So somewhat of it is it that we want tidy environments and we want things done? Is there an element of control that
if
we
you
want
a job done? Do it yourself.
Is there an element of control for it, rather than just that we're doing those things, or is it because we perceive that we should be doing those things?
It's interesting. I read that article online earlier this week, and I retweeted it because there was this big, because it was I think Rishi Sunak is mentioned in it, isn't he, with his wife, and he makes the beds in the morning because she's not a morning person apparently.
Yeah.
She's busy counting her money or something. But I mean, because I run a domestic cleaning company, a lot of the reasons I get given for why people do actually want a cleaner, we do occasionally get this, so right, I've done it, I've had enough, I've been doing it for too long, it's about time I had some help, and I can completely see, fortunately I'm quite bossy, so if I had a partner, and I have had partners that weren't pulling their weight, they do very quickly after I've had a chat with
You've
them.
had worse.
Yeah. But I just think there is help out there. And if it is causing a problem in your relationship because the balance is out of whack, then, get the help that you need, I mean, you don't cut your own hair, you go to a hairdresser, so...
Yeah, very true.
Just get the help you need.
It can be so frustrating for... I don't want to say the whole women-men thing, because it absolutely can be the other way around, that men are doing everything and the women aren't. But, if you're constantly having the same arguments, and if you're saying, please pick your towel up off the floor, please pick your underwear, just put it in the washing basket, if you're saying it day after day after day, that is going to take a massive toll.
Into a bit of like resentment for your partner. It's frustration. So I can understand where that article's coming from, that it's like you don't fall out of love with the partner, it's like it gets to a point when you think, I'm sick of tidying up, or if there's not enough balance,
and it's not always just about the partner. I mean, families with children, the children don't pick up after themselves unless they're trained and taught to do that. I mean, I can remember one of my clients saying to me one time that she said the kids never got their room cleaned by the cleaner unless they'd picked everything up from the floor and put it where it was supposed to be. So the dirty washing went in the dirty washing thing, toys all went away, this, that and the and then they got their room cleaned because it was just her way of saying, you know, she can't work in a mess.
Yeah.
You know, this is, you make the room ready for her.
Yeah, that was me when I was younger. I used to have to pick up everything off the floor.
Yeah, we did when we were growing up. Yeah.
It can sometimes happen the other way. I remember with friends many, many years ago when she was always complaining that her husband never did anything. She did the cooking, she cleaned up after him. You know, he'd come home from work, sit on the couch and kind of say, "Can I have a beer, please?" And, you know, all this kind of stuff. And she'd give it to him, but with that resentment. And she'd say, you know, it'd be nice if you helped once in a while, and these kind of phrases, and he'd go, yeah, I will. You've got another beer, babe, and, you know, this kind of stuff. Yeah. And it was a routine that kept on going. And I said to her, you do realise that he knows that you're going to get him a beer. He knows that you're going to make his dinner. He knows that you're going to clean up after him. So why does he need to bother? You know, and if you do keep playing out these roles and you're doing the same things over and over again, sometimes people, and I don't want to say men because it can be the other way, but sometimes people need a little bit of a kind of a kick up the bum to kind of make them realise you're not always going to be there doing it all. So if you say, I'm not making dinner today, or I'm not cleaning the house, and see how he likes living in a pigsty, and say, well, maybe you can, that's your stuff, maybe you could, I don't know.
Or wouldn't life be easier if I didn't have to nag all the time? Like, aren't you sick of listening to me nag at you? You know, like,
exactly.
If you did a little bit, then, or if you could work things out.
Yeah. A rota, would that work?
That's very organised. But I'll tell you what, a lot of all of my male friends are extreme. I find that a lot of the time men are cleaner than women.
Yeah.
Women can be messy.
Definitely.
I think men are, maybe that's just my friends. But
that's good though. That's really good.
Oh yeah.
Really good. I'm impressed by that. Okay, this is bizarre. My husband makes £130,000, but I've only got £3.43 in the bank because he refuses to have a joint bank account. So this couple have been together for almost 18 years, married for 14. He earns a lot more money than she does, and she's constantly, you know, got not much money in her account, having paid a lot of the bills. She also has children from an ex-relationship, so she obviously feels that she has to pay for all of the stuff to do with the children, which I guess is fair enough. But he won't kind of share his money, and I mean that fund is so bizarre.
Oh, so do I. I mean, at least agree a certain amount that can go into a bank account together, so that you've got joint funds.
You've chosen to
everything.
Spend a life together for a very long time, you know.
It is a bit bizarre, I think. I think, I agree with you. So to have a joint bank account that you pay into, so you're not exposed to have all your money deciphered, but
you don't need to know what he spends his money on. He doesn't know what you spend your money on, but there is a pot for things that need to be paid for in the house. Apparently, according to that article, he pays all the bills.
Right, okay.
So the bills don't get paid by her. She just pays all the stuff for the kids.
Okay.
But it's still way out of whack. There must be things like, what happens when they want to go on holiday? Who pays for that? You know, so there's got to be a central fund, I would say. She needs to have a...
I think it kind of brings into some sense of self-worth as well. If you have a pot where it's constantly being put into by the family, so this is the family pot and you're growing it, then when it does come to things like paying for bills, it doesn't have to be it's going out of his account to pay for it. She can then deal with that, or like you say, with a holiday, rather than feeling like, oh, I'm here paying for the kids and I'm here for the kids, and feeling like you're being done a favour because your husband's paying for these things. It comes out of the marriage pot, you know.
I think he's getting all the benefits. He's getting all the benefits of a single life, really, with all the benefits of the married life.
Yeah,
isn't it?
Is it also a control thing?
Yes,
possibly. Yeah. I just think it's a real shame when there's so many issues with money in a relationship. You know, if you're with someone where money isn't an issue, then you can clearly see that there's real issues going on here that could be difficult to sort out. You know, money shouldn't be a thing. If you're with someone and you're happy and you want to be with that person, you may well go through stages in your relationship where they're earning more than you, or you're earning more than them, and what whatever that is, that shouldn't change how the relationship is and who spends what. I think it's great to be able to have your own money. I think that's really important. So whoever it is in the relationship feels that they're okay to go out and buy some new shoes, get their hair done, do whatever they want because they know it's their money that they've earned or that they're entitled to have, wherever it's come from. But also, if you're going on holiday, it shouldn't matter who pays for what, really.
But maybe she's a spendthrift. She's like spending all the money, and he's trying to protect the money.
Yeah. That could also be a thing.
You never know what's going on behind closed doors.
No, absolutely not. Okay, we better take another break.
Talk Radio Europe. Hannah Murray, TRE in the afternoon.
Good afternoon. You're listening to the last part of Women Talk with me in the studio today, Sue Hall, Natalie Guyan and Sarah Jones. There's an article here with the headline that I just thought, oh, Lily. It says, I love my children, but they ruined my pop career, says Lily Allen. After years of raising eyebrows as one of London's most notorious party girls, she moved to the countryside and had children in 2011. But now Lily Allen has admitted that her two daughters totally ruined her pop career because she chose to prioritise them instead of work. The 38-year-old singer-turned-actress believes women are forced to decide whether to put their children or career first, saying she chose the former. My children ruin my career. I love them and they complete me, but in terms of pop stardom, they totally ruined it. I get really annoyed when people say you can have it all, because quite frankly, you can't.
I winced a bit when I read this. Because, it's like, not just vocalising that for the children to then grow up hearing that.
For sure.
Has her career not just been put on pause whilst she's focusing on being a mum, and then she has her future ahead of her should she wish to return to that? She was an incredibly talented artist, still is an incredibly talented artist, and I'm sure there'll be doors opened for her, so her career hasn't been ruined. No. And I paused my career when my children were young. They never ruined my career. I chose to take a step back out of it because I wanted to be a hands-on mum, and it doesn't ruin or prevent anything. It's just a paused moment of where things change. So it's quite sad that that's a term that she's in. Made me kind of wince for her that's how she feels.
I mean, she is with her second partner now, isn't she? So I think maybe the decision she made coincided with the breakup of the relationship with the father of the children. So I think she just felt as though it was all on her, maybe. Yeah. I'm not making excuses, but I just think, she probably did feel, I've got no choice, I've got to do this, because it's just me. But now she's settled in another relationship, and, she's maybe just missing what she might have had. Yeah. A lot of us have occasional regrets for things, but,
my first thought was that, that whole cliche when you go and see a therapist and they say, tell me about your childhood, that kind of cliche is actually true. What happens in our childhood can affect us for the rest of our lives, and little comments that parents make about us, especially negative ones, we can remember and be affected by it for the rest of their life. So for their kids to know that she said publicly that they ruined her career,
I don't think it's fair to put the blame on the kids. And then you look at Adele. Adele's had kids and she's smashing it. I know a lot of other artists that manage to do it all, and I know everyone differs, but I don't think putting all the blame on the fact that you had kids is very fair.
No, she's wrong there. She's totally wrong.
I think that's really bad. Just the words that she's used. I totally get that she might be thinking, what she could have had and all that kind of stuff. Of course, but I mean, I don't think she should have used those words. Yeah, exactly. It's a tough one though, isn't it? That whole, it is a choice that women have to make, depending on their career, whether they even have a career, that it is a huge choice as to whether you go down the career route or go down the motherhood route. And
some women don't even have that choice, luxury,
Yeah, for sure.
It's interesting, actually, because I think it's becoming more and more popular now that although women are the ones who give birth, they do not necessarily have to be the primary caregiver. And we do have that choice to pass it over. And a man has the choice whether he wants to be the primary caregiver, which is awesome. But I don't think it's promoted as much. I don't think it's spoken about as much, or I don't think it's kind of encouraged to boys from a young age, because boys are kind of grow up, don't they, as kids, that young boys, here's a truck, here's this policeman's outfit, or something very masculine. It's not traditional, and it isn't very common for a little boy to be like, here's your baby, and here's your baby in a pram, and here's your little kitchenette. You know, these this sort of almost like stereotypical toys that children are kind of groomed with, that then ultimately make us decide, you know, do we have to put our career on hold? Is my career ruined if I don't have kids? If I do have kids, what am I going to do? So how much of that is social grooming as we grow up, or societal measures?
Good point.
I think it's still sad, to be honest, that there are girls' toys and and boys' toys. You know, when you go into a toy shop, that there's the girls section, which is all pink and dolls and household and baby related, exactly as you said, and then there's the boys section, which is blue and armies and trucks,
dinosaurs,
and and there's absolutely nothing wrong with girls wanting to play with trucks and boys wanting to play with dolls. But I think even a lot of parents would probably feel uncomfortable about it. No, this is your section. You know, I'm sure there'll be lots of parents that would feel uncomfortable, which is a shame.
Maybe there should be 3 sections in a toy store now. Maybe there should be like a central section with everything thrown together.
But for this to happen as well, do employers not need to take some level of responsibility as well to be giving men the same paternity rights as women, so that couples can actually choose which one of them decides to take that role, or how they're going to share it? Because I know we had International Women's Day last week, and there were some interesting statistics actually with regard to women are 20% less likely to be employed next to a man, 20% less likely to be promoted, and receive a significant less pay still. Like 15 to 20% still significant less pay. And a lot of this comes down to companies not being prepared to invest in women, because they invest in women and then women are perceived to go off and have children, whereas their male counterparts, they don't have that same fear that, we might invest in this individual and then they're going to go off and have children. Whereas if there was more equality and opportunity for a man with paternity alongside women, we would have more equality for both in the choices that we had when it came to parental rights or parenting our children.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that's a good point, although I do think there are other reasons for that as well. I mean, people in the job field now, used to be you had a job for life. Now you don't, and people will go into certain professions and jobs just for the training, so that they can hop out and then go somewhere else.
Yeah,
so investing in a male does carry some risks as well, but not as many as investing in a woman. So that part of it is right. That's always been the case. Sadly.
Yeah,
it's almost as if like a man, and my previous career was as a career consultant. Men are often looked at as their potential. What is their potential? Whereas women have to prove their worth before they're given promotion. So it's almost a societal bias that we have, that we don't intend to have, but it's been ingrained in us. So perhaps some of what Lily's feeling from that, what she's saying towards her kids there, comes from some experience in that regard.
Yeah.
Maybe.
And I mean, with her career as well, being a pop star, you know, that obviously it has again, I think this is a shame, because it shouldn't be, because it should all be about the voice, but she'll feel a lot of pressure on how she looks with that side of things, and, you know, having kids and having the time to kind of let your body recover from that and all the implications with that also has an effect on her career, I guess. You know, she probably feels like she couldn't have gone out and carried on what she was doing whilst pregnant or having recently had a baby. You know, it takes time to
because the media do love to post a few pictures if you've gained any weight and
horror shots.
Yes, public eye. It's just you can understand that.
Yeah. Do you remember that? I don't know if it's still going. Was it Heat magazine where they used to have like the ring of shame or something?
Yeah, they'd like circle someone's cellulite.
Yeah, literally someone like getting out of a car or something, so their skirt would be a bit short, and then they'd circle like a bit of cellulite on their leg, and it was like the ring of shame. I think it was actually called
the
that.
ring of shame. Yeah.
I mean, just horrendous.
Yeah.
Or like someone, you know, laughing a certain way and having a double chin, and that. I mean, really, really damaging things.
But this is where these impossible beauty standards come from, that people now, and we were talking about before, people's insecurities, because they are comparing themselves to these photoshopped, you know, fake images, and what is perceived in social media, in magazines, is not what's real. You know, being shamed for having cellulite or a stretch mark or a bit of a bingo wing, you know what I mean? It's
but good question, because what is real anymore? Because of the, you know, AI and, you know, what is possible online. Yeah. You know, how do we know? I mean, these kids have got no frame of reference. Who are their role models? Yeah. People who've been photoshopped to infinity, but they don't know that. They think they're real.
Yeah.
You know.
I think it's scary when young, and this has been going on a while now, certainly after the event of reality television and things like that, but when youngsters are asked what they want to be when they grow up and they say famous, that makes me think, oh, that's so awful. So it's not a singer, it's not an author, you know, it's not a profession, it's just the idea of being famous, or even an influencer, you know, just someone that's got loads of followers on social media and gets given free stuff. I mean, how can that be someone's ambition?
Yeah, that's because there are things that exist now that didn't exist 20 years ago. You know, to say 20 years ago I want to be a YouTuber, you know, you go, what? I want to create digital games, you know. You know, these things didn't exist. There are whole new careers out there now that you know, people can make a lot of money out if they're good.
And in fairness, they are careers. You know, being a gamer, being a really good gamer, and filming yourself gaming. I mean, that is a career.
Time consuming.
It is a career. It's just it's hard for people to kind of understand because, as you say, it wasn't a career 20 years ago. But I mean, at least being a gamer, there is skill in that. They are skilled at being gamers. It's not quite the same as, I don't know. You have to be so careful what you say, don't you? But I just think it's sad when there's that lack of ambition. I know not everybody needs to be ambitious, but just the idea of wanting an easy life, I guess. You know, the idea of reality television, you know, people becoming really famous without necessarily having a talent, without being good at something. They've just...
But then I think a life without purpose as well is what leads to a lot of people with mental health, with depression, and then you see so many people with suicide rates and people that have done reality shows and stuff because they get thrown into this world where they don't have really a purpose, you know, and that's unfulfilling. You have like a feeling of emptiness.
They've gone from being a normal person to everybody loving them to then everyone not really caring.
Yeah, because you come out of that world and you're back to your real life, or maybe you're whisked away. And like Ryan, was it named Rylan or something? Yeah, he managed to carve a really successful career.
Some people do. I think it's harder now than when they first started, and you definitely don't get endorsements the same as what you used to years ago. But again, I guess it's what you make with it, what you make it.
And having good people around you. And that can help you for anybody. Well, we all need that, don't we?
Always.
I think that's a good note to end it on. Yes. Surround yourself with good people. As much as you can. And have a good weekend. There we go. So thank you, ladies, very much for coming in today.
Thanks for having
really
us.
Lovely to see you all. Enjoy your weekend when you get to it.
You've been listening to a TRE production. If you've enjoyed this programme, there'll be another episode waiting for you next week, right here on this platform, where you can also access our extensive back catalogue of shows and interviews. For more information on our live programming, social media channels and apps, and how to contact Talk Radio Europe, please visit tre.radio.